Hello everyone and welcome back to another new album video. We're now on week 34 and this week we're taking a look at the rise and fall of a Midwest Princess by Chappell Roan. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that correctly. But first released September 22nd, 2023. Some notable tracks off this album include Phenomenon, After Midnight, Pink Pony Club, and Hot to Go. I have my notes here for this. We're going to go through those, and then we're going to discuss the album and the track list and all that. So let me just go get my notes open here. And find the page. There we go. So let's see here. This is her first studio album. It has a bunch of genres, the primary genre being pop, and it's a very solid pop record. One of the best pop records I've listened to this year. I listened to it a little bit earlier in the year. I want to say maybe sometime in the spring. And then I was planning on putting that into an episode at some point. Other albums came out, and so I kind of pushed this one off a little bit, but we're getting to it now. But just a really solid kind of pop record. Some of the other genres that you kind of find on this are there's elements of pop, there's elements of new wave, elements of rock, dance, as well as maybe a little bit of disco in there as well. So it definitely very much leads heavily into the pop, but it has a lot of other kind of sub genres of pop mixed in there. So it's a really good just blend of kind of different genres. Some people described it kind of as a sleeper hit because, like we said, it came out last September, and then very recently it's really started to kind of blow up. I want to say, like I said, I listened to it kind of maybe late spring, but within the last couple weeks, it's even shot up even more and more. I remember she did, I think, Lollapalooza, and it was just a huge crowd. So it feels almost like a very word of mouth kind of campaign for this. Feels like very organic in how it's kind of just catching on. And I don't know, I can't think of a time recently where an album has really kind of just done that, where it came out and then was kind of a slow burn getting it to become really popular. So let's see, October, November, December, almost a year now. So we're looking at maybe by the time this episode comes out, it'll just be maybe 11 months after the album was initially released. So a kind of like a slow burn to start, but now it's really burning hot, and she's climbing the charts, doing really good numbers. I picked the album up digitally. I initially just streamed it on Apple Music, but I think last week or so there was a sale on iTunes and Amazon had it the digital version on sale for $7 or something, which is completely a steal in my opinion. It's an incredible album. Let's see here. Yeah, so it was in spring. It's gonna be really interesting to see the Grammys for 2025 because I think this falls within the cutoff of next year's Grammy Awards. So next year's Grammys, the enrollment or kind of eligibility is September 16th, 2023 through August 30th of this year. So kind of got in there a little bit after. Kind of a few days after the initial start of the cutoff. So 2025 Grammys are going to be really interesting. I would not be surprised if we see this get a album of the year nomination. And then there's just been a lot of incredible albums this year, like Brat, of course, Cowboy Carter. I think it's going to be a very stacked year for album of the year. And we still have, I think, the end of this week, Sabrina Carpenter drops her new album, Short and Sweet. I think that's going to be pretty popular as well. So 2025 Grammys are looking like it's going to be kind of crazy, but bunch of stuff still to come out. Sabrina's album, like I said, comes out the end of the week, and that's going to be kind of close to the cutoff because it's going to be August 30th for the next year's Grammys. Apparently, got her start kind of doing various songs and covers on her YouTube channel. It's a really interesting kind of success story with her, where she was doing these covers. I think she did recorded a bunch of music, was signed to, let me see, I think it was Atlantic Records, and and then they eventually like ended her contract and dropped her. She was living like according to my research, she was from Missouri, moved to L.A. And then was working on music for Atlantic during that time period. And then they dropped her. She ended up moving back to Missouri, started like saving up money, working various jobs to make it uh, back to LA to work more on this album. So a really interesting kind of, I don't want to necessarily say rags to riches success story, but a little kind of like a little bit like that, where it seems like she didn't have a ton of help, so she basically helped herself, like saved up the money, put in the work, and now is kind of reaping the rewards of that hard work. And it's very well deserved. Like I said, the album is incredible. It's a very solid pop record. It's not even all that long. It's like I think it's like maybe 50 minutes at the longest. So it doesn't really overstay its welcome. Like there's a couple albums this year where I listened to where I'm like, okay, this album is like over an hour at this point, and like a lot of it's filler. None of the stuff on this album feels like filler, and it all feels like it fits very well with what she's trying to do. Like I always appreciate when an artist will they're like, hey, my album only needs 30 minutes or 40 minutes to me to get my message across or whatever it is, and they just give you a an album that's the length of the album, and they're not adding a bunch of tracks in there to kind of like pad out the runtime or anything like that. So that's how it feels there. Came out to basically just critical acclaim. Like it's rated very highly. Let me actually bring up those review scores here. Scroll down to them. So basically, yeah, critical acclaim. All Music has it at a 4.5 out of 5. Looks like DIY has it at a 4 out of 5. NME has it at a 4 out of 5. Paste has it at a looks like an 8.4, 7.2 out of 10 for Pitchfork. Pitchfork kind of is a little more, I think, harsh on their reviews, but overall, very good reviews from a lot of places. It ended up making a lot of like best of lists of like the end of 2023 from like the AV Club, Time, Nylon, like Rolling Stone, Billboard, and so on. So even though it didn't really kind of blow up until this year, there was definitely publications and people that were reviewing it very highly after it got out. But definitely feels like this year is where it really kind of caught on with the mainstream. I don't even remember where I was when I first heard about it. I think it may have been just like in like a music subreddit or something, just like slash our music probably, because I frequent that one quite a bit. But heard about it there. I'm like, okay, like this year I'm trying to listen to as many new albums as possible. And I had heard her name come up on like a few posts and conversations. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to check this album out. Checked it out and absolutely loved it. So like, kind of, I'm taking like a lot of like recommendations from like various places, like just conversations with friends or random album selectors. Like that basically will just choose an album for you randomly and you go with it. But a lot of it's come from Reddit, where I'm basically just like trying to find as much new music as possible. And for me, a new record means it's new to me, which means I haven't heard the entire record before, or in this case, I hadn't heard any of her music prior to listening to this. But we're now going to get into our track listing here. Let me pull up here. Yeah, so the album be at 49 minutes and it looks like 8 seconds. And total track count on this album is 14 tracks. So again, 14 tracks, 49 minutes long, basically. Track 1 is Phenomenon. A really solid way to start the album. There's it definitely kind of like ramps up. It's like just like a few minutes long, but the song just gets basically louder and more and more energy like throughout the song. It's a song where I can't say the name of the lyric on the show on here because it'll probably get censored, but like I think she's like, hey, can you play a song with an effing beat? And then that line is repeated later on, and then she like screams it later throughout the song. So very solid way to start the album out. That's track 1, which was Phenomenon. Track 2 is Red Wine Supernova. Really solid track there. Track 3 is After Midnight. It's probably my favorite track on the album. Like that's my first listen to it. However long ago, like maybe it was like sometime in like the spring. Really liked it, and then when I came back to actually after picking up the album digitally, that's the track I play the most. It's just got an incredibly solid poppy kind of beat to it. Really good. So yeah, After Midnight is track 3. Again, probably my favorite track on the album. Track 4 is Coffee. That was pretty good. Track 5 is Casual. A little bit slower. Not quite a ballad, but a little bit slower than some of the little more high energy pop tracks on the album. So yeah, again, track 5 is Casual. Track 6 is Super Graphic Ultra Modern Girl. That was pretty good too. Track 7 is Hot to Go. Track 8 is My Kink is Karma. Again, track 8. Track 9 is Picture You. Then track 10 is Kaleidoscope. Track 11 is Pink Pony Club, and that was really catchy. It's like, at the Pink Pony Club, da 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 da, or however it goes. Pink Pony Club is, again, track 11, and this very solid, very catchy track. Track 12 is Naked in Manhattan. Track 13 is California. And then track 14 is Guilty Pleasure. So again, 14 tracks, 49 minutes in length overall. Just an incredibly solid, very good first effort. Or like, I mean, she had done music prior to this before like getting her label dropping her. But for a debut album, it's incredibly solid. If you're into pop music has been going through. There's just been a lot of really good pop music lately, and this is just another kind of prime example of that. I'm really looking forward to, like, for example, another pop album coming out very soon, like I mentioned earlier, Sabrina Carpenter's Short But Sweet. I'll probably be covering that on the show at some point. Just the singles off that, Espresso and Please, 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 very solid. So pop music right now is definitely going through, don't necessarily want to call it like a renaissance, but it's going through just a period of a lot of really, really good pop music. Even like the last few years of pop music have been incredibly good. But I highly recommend checking out this album. So The Rise and Fall of the Midwest Princess by Chappell Roan. Hopefully, is it Chappell or Chappell? I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to pronounce it. But I highly recommend checking it out. I think there was like a vinyl issue of it put up from like a limited edition, and it sold out like instantly. I would probably pick this up on vinyl whenever like those become available. I think the one that sold out instantly was a more limited run, but definitely highly recommend checking out this album. That's gonna do it for this video. We'll be back again in a week with a whole new album. Probably, since I think, unless something changes in my kind of planning, it's probably going to be the new Sabrina Carpenter record, so I'll probably be talking about that next week. Unless some other album just kind of comes out between now and then that just kind of blows me away. So plan on the Sabrina Carpenter episode being next week. Really looking forward to that one. And then we'll be continuing throughout the rest of the year with this. And like I said, this year's kind of plan is just to listen to as much new music as possible. And that'll probably be like a separate series where I just kind of break down, or at least, very least, just list off what I've listened to and stuff like that. Probably do like a best of list if I go through the entire list, because it's a lot of albums. I definitely need to figure out like overall, maybe like a top 10 or something like that. I'm not really sure. But that's going to do it for now. So thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.